I'm gonna go to every road game, no matter what, like whether I'm playing or not.
The basketball world was stunned by shocking news just moments ago. According to reports, Caitlin Clark, the unstoppable force that has swept the WNBA, has made the decision to completely quit the sport. This abrupt action follows a startling event that nobody anticipated. So, was it a deeply personal turning moment, growing pressure from critics, or simmering tension in the locker room? The league is in shock, teammates are dumbfounded, and fans are in disbelief. Let's find out the true cause of Caitlin Clark's shocking choice to leave the WNBA. The WNBA was shaken by the earthquake. The fallout from Caitlin Clark's departure would be felt throughout the whole sports world, not just in Indianapolis. It would cause more than simply Indiana fever. Millions of fans would be devastated and in shock as the WNBA's carefully constructed commercial basis would be destroyed. However, even the brightest stars can experience excessive glare. At barely 22 years old, Clark has evolved into much more than a player while sporting her now iconic number 22 jersey. She serves as the Indiana Fever's lifeline, focal point, and source of inspiration. Few, if any, have changed the sport as she has in her inaugural season since the WNBA began in 1997. Just her numbers seem like they belong to seasoned veterans. 5.7 rebounds, 8.4 assists, and 19.2 points per game. However, only a portion of this story can be revealed by numbers. She pulled the Fever out of a 7-year playoff skid in 2024, bringing them back to the postseason for the first time since 2016. However, a scoreboard cannot fully capture Clark's influence because her off-court accomplishments may be even more astounding. Ticket sales skyrocketed as soon as Indiana declared her their top draft pick. Not by a small proportion, but by more than 400%. The Fever were forced to completely give up on smaller venues due to the strength of that wave. Gainbridge Fieldhouse, a location that was once uncommon, was filled to capacity game after game. Not only were the stands packed. Every time Clark took the stage, television viewership that had previously lingered around the hundreds of thousands suddenly surged past the million mark. A few matches even attracted more than 2 million viewers. Figures that had never been reached by women's basketball before. She seemed to have flicked a switch, transforming the WNBA from a sports league into a cultural event. Corporate America also took note. Sponsorship agreements poured in, many of which were designed especially to capitalize on Clark's magnetic marketability. These weren't the conventional, low-key collaborations that women's sports were accustomed to. They were significant sources of income and completely new sources of income that didn't exist prior to her arrival in Indiana. Caitlin Clark accomplished something that decades of marketing strategies were unable to in less than a single season. She had turned watching the WNBA into an appointment. She was doing more than just reducing the fever. She was changing the league's economic makeup and taking it to a new level. All of this took place over the course of several months. Evidence that a single player can occasionally alter not just the game but also its location in the world. What invisible force, then, drove Caitlin to this breaking point? Could they also change her legacy? Keep an eye out. Her true narrative is only getting started. Authority, pressure, and the cost of fame. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA is not limited to the success of a particular team. It has completely changed the league's heartbeat. Ratings on television have skyrocketed. Sales of merchandise have broken all previous records. The WNBA now receives prime airtime and headlines from media outlets that previously only mentioned it in passing. The league is now unavoidable due to Clark's presence, turning her into a worldwide sports star in a flash. Because of this, rumors of her possible departure feel like an impending earthquake rather than merely being conjecture. However, what could possibly make an athlete of her stature think about giving up the activity that excites her? The unseen weight that accompanies such rapid success holds the key to the solution. For Clark, the transition from the relative freedom of collegiate basketball to the harsh realities of professional athletics has involved more than just facing more formidable opponents. It has involved navigating a commercial machine that is subject to limitations and regulations that the majority of fans are unaware of. Despite Clark's profound influence, the WNBA continues to operate under a salary cap that seems archaic. The highest salary a player may make is perhaps $250,000 annually, which is insignificant compared to the millions the league probably makes each year from her marketability. According to WNBA regulations, her rookie contract standard binds her to the Indiana Fever through restricted free agency and team options. These team protective clauses have the unintended consequence of significantly restricting player mobility. Trades, free agency, or contract renegotiations are common ways for sportsmen in other big leagues to express their displeasure. The system is far less adaptable for Clark. The very regulations designed to maintain competitive balance would prevent her from changing her circumstances, even if she felt trapped or underappreciated. Long before Clark arrived, the collective bargaining agreement that governs these arrangements was negotiated, and the league was undoubtedly unaware of the significant impact one player could have on its financial success. The financial structures established years ago no longer accurately represent the contributions made by a high-profile, professional athlete like Clark. Therefore, there is a subtle, complex tension behind the applause, sold-out arenas, and record-breaking TV numbers, a difference between what she offers the WNBA and what the league can return under its current regulations. It's a disparity that goes beyond money. It has to do with autonomy, acknowledgement, and the changing meaning of worth in women's sports. However, is Caitlin prepared to confront the very system that made her famous, or give up completely? Stay put. You might be shocked by the response. Caitlin Clark at a fork in the road. When the system is outgrown by stardom. The game frequently becomes more about contracts than it is about competition for athletes whose worth surpasses their salary. Legal experts claim that many of the biggest stories in sports are the result of this silent war. The point at which a player's market value surpasses the strict constraints of a league's pay scale. The disparity is evident in the WNBA, where the highest salary is far less than what a legend like Caitlin Clark brings in from corporate sponsorships, TV deals, and ticket sales. When the superstar's financial impact surpasses that of her teammates, the challenge becomes more acute. She is nevertheless constrained by the same salary range as everyone else. This disparity is more than just a statistic for Clark, whose every move on the court is seen by millions of people and whose jersey sales rule the league. It serves as a continual reminder that the system was not designed with her in mind. The human cost is another issue. Playing professional basketball wears on the mind in addition to the body. In the history of women's sports, Clark is subject to a degree of scrutiny that is uncommon. Every pass, shot, and casual remark is analyzed in real time by analysts, shared on social media, and discussed by random people. When the game is over, the spotlight's brightness doesn't go down. It follows her into every aspect of her existence. It takes more than just skill to maintain optimum performance under such circumstances. It requires a level of mental tenacity that eventually wears out even the strongest. Therefore, it makes sense that rumors of other routes have started to circulate. There are plenty of professional options outside of America, with better income, more comfortable travel, and somewhat less invasive cameras. Some of the most lucrative contracts in the sport are available in the European women's basketball scene. Elite talent has historically been drawn to the EuroLeague women's teams as well as strong clubs in Turkey, Russia, and Spain. Not only do these teams pay more, but they frequently pay significantly more than the WNBA's maximum. Additionally, they provide shelter, transportation, and other benefits that lessen the stress of living on the road. The quality of living can be significantly improved, the venues are packed, and the competition is intense. Another emerging power is Australia's Women's National Basketball League, which offers world-class facilities, attractive earnings, and a season that coincides with the WNBA's off-season. It's more than simply a retreat for players like Clark, it's an opportunity to continue performing at the top level while investigating a new form of professional independence. When that freedom begins to feel like a cage, what will happen? The truth is more shocking than you may imagine, so stay with us. No amount of acclaim can change the numbers when the league's image feels stuck. Caitlin Clark's yearly value is in the millions due to her enormous influence on the WNBA's expansion, ticket sales, TV ratings, and sponsorship deals. Nor in hype, nor in forecasts, but in concrete, quantifiable truth. Her cash account is bolstered by outside endorsements, but the league she promoted on her own still only pays her a small portion of that amount. She is plagued by this contradiction every day. Although she is not the first WNBA player to experience this pay disparity, she is the first to bring the league as a whole into the public eye while earning a salary that hardly matches the magnitude of her influence. In sold-out arenas, fans yell her name. Every step she makes is monitored by cameras. Additionally, she is the focal point of entire tales created by broadcasters. However, behind the scenes, she is ensnared in a system that does not genuinely invest in her future and instead relies on her image. The part that hurts the most is that the absence of control is just as important as the money. Leverage was not considered in the rookie deal she signed in 2024. It's a cage masquerading as an opportunity, just like every WNBA rookie contract. Restricted free agency that prevents her from evaluating her worth, team options that bind her to the team, and a system that is specifically designed to restrict player mobility. Clark's options are limited, even if she desired change. She is unable to compel a transaction. She is unable to renegotiate for her true value. She also can't jump to a higher salary somewhere else. Not in a league where freedom is a privilege enjoyed by a small number of people rather than a right. Long before Clark became the most marketable athlete in women's basketball history, the collective bargaining agreement that established these regulations was signed. Before she demonstrated that a single player could change a sport's economics on their own. She is now constrained by antiquated terminology that not only devalues her but also disregards the new reality she brought about. The WNBA profits from the Clark effect in the meanwhile. Records of attendance were destroyed. Sales of merchandise are extremely high. Revenue from sponsorships is soaring. The woman at the center of it all, however, is nonetheless constrained by a contract that gives her none of the freedom, compensation, or agency that her male co-workers have.